A lot of people have been asking me, why no bullish tweets? Why no bullish videos? Why I'm so laid back? I want to explain this video. On the screen, you can see risk reward, right? Step number 1. Is it worth you buying? Maybe, maybe not. Speculation. What if Bitcoin goes back up to 70k? You're going to make some money. Of course you are. But I want to explain a few different things that are very, very important, which people are forgetting, which is important. Psychologically, we're going to talk a lot about that. We're going to talk about when I entered the market, why that's an important bearing. What I made mistakes with is an important bearing. And capital preservation. I mentioned it on my Twitter the other day, why capital preservation is key. So the first step, as I say, risk reward. Is it worth you buying? If you buy something, say like Near Protocol at $4 or $5, is it going to go over all time? All-time highs, right? We don't know. We do not know. A lot of people are presuming that they will. They won't. Some will, some won't. Some might not. We just don't know, right? You're guessing. And it's all about time in the market, getting in at the right point. Getting in at the right point is good. So what my stance is, I always look for a minimum of 5x minimum, which can be quite low in price. And this method works for me. Might not work for you, but I'm in a prestigious position where I've been in the market for a long time. I don't consider myself as an OG. I've been in since 2016. Let me explain. I bought Bitcoin at roughly this sort of time frame in 2016. Quite a long time ago now when you think about it. But the reality is, I was fortunate, timing was right, and even though I lost a lot of money, which I will explain in a second, buying Bitcoin at like $23,000, $24,000 doesn't really fill me with excitement. I would rather buy altcoins and then convert into BTC than just flop 20 grand on the table for a Bitcoin when I was buying it at 600. Make sense? Good. I'm all about stacking the sats, but in the correct way. A lot of people will counter that argument, and I understand why. People believe potentially we will go over all-time high. I do believe that too. But at the same time, putting money in at $23,000 is quite expensive for me to hope it goes over 100k. Remember, I want 5x. If Bitcoin goes a little bit lower, it'll be a little bit easier. Keep that word in mind. Easier to make more money, because the lower it goes, the better. Now, I know there's people going to be out there going, well, if you don't buy, you're never going to get in. But I'm still in the market. This is one thing I want to make clear. I have still got 25% of my capital in the market right now. Doesn't matter what happens if it goes up or down. I'm happy with that. The thing is here, don't want to look arrogant, but I took a lot of money off the table at the right time. Learning from my mistakes of the last bull market, and learning not to put my money back in too early is also another caveat to that. So let's just look at this in a simple term, right? Total market cap, right? Obviously, I invested like in this sort of period here, like October, November time, roughly like $10 billion market cap. It went shooting up to the rocket moon sphere of like 800 billion nearly, or well, 760 billion. As a newbie, it's a lot of money to make. And also a lot of money to lose. I lost a lot of money in this period. This was the previous bear market. Pop, pop, pop. See the picture, right? Every single one of these periods I was buying. I was putting my capital back in. I was an idiot. I was an absolute fool. But we've got to look at that as a realistic expectation. We don't know when the bottom is. But this is why capital preservation is key, and I want to talk about it at the end. Honestly, trust me, you want to keep as much capital as possible. You do not want to be literally blowing it, because something looks very odd when you look at the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen. Trend is your friend, right? Market bias is key. Moving on to where I'm going to buy, right? Let's talk about it. This is where I pinpointed. Now, this is the whole point of this video. Where I am going to buy and I will feel happy to buy. Now, this is the thing. A lot of people be like, well, why don't you not buy now? Because it's obviously gone up. Well, yeah, cool. But the reality is I wanted time away. I wanted time off, not just looking at the chart all the time, not just looking at investments and worrying about things. I was like, whatever. I've been building a system on my Patreon. People know this, where it's semi-automatic and also I can do it manually at the same time. Basically following the flow of the market. If you want to know more about that, check out Patreon. I also teach, right? I teach mainly the psychological stuff of how a market will work. Now, for me, this is where, disclaimer, I would be happy buying. There, right? Why is it important to know? A plan is key. A plan is key. Now, as I say, I've still got 25% in the market. I have also got a lot of money out of the market. I've made a lot of money in this market. I'm very, very fortunate. This is why I want to kind of give you another perspective that it's not the be all and end all if you're chasing money. That is usually where the problem lies, chasing money, chasing the gains. Oh my God, people are hyping things up. I must buy. Why is that important? Because if it goes wrong, you're going to lose. And this could be a very long bear market as well. You got to remember that. This market doesn't look healthy, right? We have only bounced that much. It's not really tickling my fancy right now. Personally, if we go down to this region, I will start buying. I'll just deploy capital and just sit and wait. And I'll be buying higher cap coins basically, and then I'll buy a few lower cap coins if we go lower, or if something looks even more attractive. Now, this is where people get confused. Yeah, doesn't matter. I can play around with my futures account. I could make money, via little ad hoc things if I wanted to, but I don't need to. I don't need to. So try not to get in the bubble of you must do a trade every day. You must invest in something new every day, because before you know it, you're underwater. Before you know it, you've got 25 different altcoins that you've got on your watch list, or you've actually bought in because you feel it's important. Now let's look at the other side of the coin. Now, I'm only going to talk about one bit of news here. And I know everyone's like a macro expert, but I'm going to talk about supply and demand in China. If the Chinese economy gets weakened and there's shutdowns in factories, that's going to affect people like us with iPhones, because obviously they're made in China. Other things out there, obviously there's thousands of different product lines that are made out in China. If there's problems, high inflation equals high costs as well, but also supply and demand. If there's a lot of demand for stuff and the supply chain has been weakened due to the economy issues in China, we're going to have a problem again. So just stuff like that is, I've said it before on my podcast, I'm looking for ticks in the boxes to make sure things are healthier in the market. Personally, I'd rather just sit on my hands and be like, right, I've nabbed all the profit. I'm not going to put it back in the market straight away because I think it's important. Now let's talk about keeping capital. It's hugely important here. Now, a lot of people do disagree with me on this. A lot of people think keeping capital is like, why should you do that first? And obviously you need to make capital. But you can see on the screen here how simplistic a methodology is of trend momentum is of building capital. A lot of YouTubers could save you a lot of heartache very, very easily by just telling you if we're in an uptrend or a downtrend. That's perfectly reasonable criticism, right? Now you can see here on the 3-day time frame, EMA 21 crosses the EMA 8 crosses the 21, right? You can see here moon. When it gets weakened, obviously take your profit, right? This is back in 2017, very, very easy to look at. But you can see here, there's been no real reason for you to buy this because we're in a trend formation. We're in a low downtrend kind of trajectory where it is actually slow, it's grinding, but it is showing all the characteristics of a trend going pretty bad. Why would you want to buy that? You don't. You only want to buy historic levels of interest. Going back in time, you would have areas like this. As you can see, look, this is where my new buy order is going to be, by the way. You got areas like this, for example, here. And yeah, it looks mental when you think, oh my God, waiting for these historic levels. Even when you're looking at the likes of this, where it stopped and turned around, even realistically, that's a big psychological level. Going from $760 billion down to 230, that's like, all right, that's probably not a bad place to buy. That is a huge decline. Not many people were though. And this is another thing I want to say as well. A really good point. How many people go all in on these? They don't. They only put little bits in. They don't go mental. So ignore what some influencers say. But you can see here how important that, literally that one would have been like, if we bounce off that level, you'd be like, okay, cool, maybe we are at the bottom. And just, as you can see, the trend starts to change. Entry point here, happy days, right? But when you look at where we are right now, we're not even got a crossover yet. We're not even near that. And this is where it gets interesting. These EMAs are still showing that this is a proper downtrend. We've got the high, got a low, got a rejection, new low. We're not even making a new high yet. So That's why I'm saying just chill out a bit. Yes, there's opportunity to make money. Obviously, there's opportunity to make money here. Not financial advice, but if you buy support and you sell at resistance, you can make money. But it doesn't have to be all the time. You've just got to wait for the time. So if you're an investor, you want to maximize your chances of getting the biggest risk reward. The biggest risk reward. What does that mean? Buying as low as you can, as far away from all-time high as possible, and stacking them nicely. Now let's talk about one final thing before I go. Now that is what it currently looks like right now. Now if I look at the S&P 500, just to give you an idea, and I know I've been talking about this, when we're looking at it's really easy to make money in a bull market, it really is. Like I'm not joking. It is really easy to make money in a bull market if you are looking at the right things. A lot of people, and I know this, come into the market hot, they come in late, and they are very excited and they just buy whatever's on the shelf, right? This is why I want to try and change that perspective. If you were buying, the S&P 500 on the EMA crossover and just managing it and looking at that, there was no reason for you realistically to get out of this market, even today, from those lows. And I know that's real obvious perspective here, but this is just trend following. This is how a lot of big money has been made through time in the stock market. And this is the thing. Cryptocurrency has these, but in much smaller doses. Long as you can get in early, ride it, and then get out and to keep your profit, and then look for the next long signal, it makes sense. Because again, going back, looking at the total market cap, if you're looking at the monthly time frame, right, you can see very clearly how the EMAs are positioned and how it goes. Boom. How the EMAs are positioned and how it goes. We are not at that stage yet. This is why buying at these levels are riskier, but also you can accumulate units. So accumulating units is fine, but what I'll say is this as a final closing point in terms of where I'm looking to buy. Cool, yeah, happy days. But for me, that's because I've got a lot of profit. I don't want to waste it. But if you're looking to buy low, sell high, you've got to be obvious. Take profit when you can if you are still seeing charts that look like this. Even the weekly chart still showing a very aggressive downturn. Yes, obviously you can make some money here, but the chances are it will get very, very hot around this point potentially, and it will turn around on you. If it does, you're going to feel a lot of pain and you've just wasted a lot of money.